But yeah, Wish is Stephanie. I feel like every video is me trying to get comfortable, even though I spend literally 5 minutes of every video, before every video, getting comfortable. Hey, ni hao, Wish is Stephanie. I already said that. So here's a different kind of video. I'm just so restless. I just came back from book club, and I'm in this, hey, look, this is my first ever blue reading glasses. Blue glasses. The only time in my life I've ever had blue glasses. Can you even see that those are blue? Oh, there maybe you can. Damn, that's horrible. From afar, they just look black. Kind of bums me out. I was trying for something different, risque, not really risque. Anyway, I just came from book club, and I'm in this book club where we only read stuff related to Shanghai, which is really cool, because that's where I'm living, guys. I'm living in Shanghai, China, which is also this map. This, here we go, this river here is the Huangpu River, and yeah, so anyway, this is not a book channel, this is not a reading channel, this is not a literary channel, but as I was reading little reunions from Eileen Chang that you're going to see backwards here because I'm using the wrong camera because my other camera is still full from vacation. Wah! I have so much computer catch up to do tomorrow, and I'm really excited to do it once I sleep again. Jet lag's real, y'all. Oh man. I slept until noon, and then I couldn't fall asleep till 5, then I slept until noon, 5 a.m., and then I slept until noon, and then I left the house to go to the book club at 5:45, and as soon as I walked outside, a wave of exhaustion hit me. Did almost nothing all day, even after I woke up at noon, and yet there it was, the evil jet lag. Okay, the reason why I'm talking about this book is that, one, it was originally written in Chinese, and two, the author, Eileen Chang, or Zhang Eileen, I think is what they were calling her Chinese name, is from Shanghai, and she made, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different references to language in the book. 6 different references, and I wrote down the page numbers because I like to take notes. And so I want to actually read you. I don't know why I'm screaming. There's nobody here, and I'm really excited to be like boisterous and have just a hair of energy, even if it is for 5 minutes. So I thought it'd be kind of cool since I'm not going to be able to read novels in Chinese for quite a long time, but when there's references, even if they're in translated books into English, this is an English translation, I know that this author did write stuff in both languages, and then she actually translated back and forth and kind of played with language herself, especially later on. She grew up in a bilingual education in Hong Kong, from Shanghai, but did her education in Hong Kong. It's a long, very, very interesting story, and she seems to be very adored in the region, and a lot of people say that how she describes Shanghai, how she describes China, is very accurate and very representative of life during that time period. This particular book is set around World War II time period, and it's very, very autobiographical. It's very much so about her life, but fictionalized, because fiction is never really untrue, is it? Anyway, but I'm focusing on the linguistic parts because this channel is about the Chinese language and about learning how to read the Chinese language, and inevitably when I read something from someone who grew up with the language and they're making some sort of linguistic reference, it's so cool, because it's them giving me an in years before I can get to that point. And I apologize for the shadow here. I realize that my living room is awful for filming, but it's what I have. It is what I have. Normally I film in the indoor clothes drying area, the laundry area. It's probably a more normal word to say for that, but it's not your normal North American laundry area. But that is absolutely swamped with clothes I mention we were on vacation, and not only did I dirty a week's worth of clothes, but I also bought a lot. So that area does not have room for any cameras tonight. Okay, 6 different things. Number 1, page 70. I do need these glasses now. So here we go. This is a bit of dialogue. I'm going to have to read dialogue. I'm going to sound really, really awful when I do this. I'm horrible at reading other people's words. Other people's spoken words. Ah, said Auntie Han. The dialect of Hefei, which I think is Hefei, the capital of Anhui, has a particular way of articulating the word ah, spelled A-H in quotes. The sound first rises to the palate, then joins force with the coarse roaring from the throat, before bursting out from a half-open gap of the mouth to imply, with annoyance, how could you ask such a thing? Auntie Han continued, freshly washed third mistress. How could they not be clean? So it's interesting because in this book, because she was based in Hong Kong in the beginning of the book, the opinionization looks Cantonesized. Does that make sense? For example, Hefei in Mandarin, Putonghua, in Mandarin, Chinese Mandarin pinyin. Is there another pinyin? Anyway, would be Hefei. That's how it's spelled here. But in the book, it's Hofei. So that. And there's a lot of references to cities. Oh, here's another one on the same page. Tianjin, Tientsin. At first I thought maybe that was Shenzhen. Again, going from Cantonese to Putonghua to Mandarin Chinese. But it's not. I actually looked that one up, and that's Tianjin. 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 So you can see there's similarity. And there were a lot of places like that. Even Anhui, Anhwei, Anhui province. How is that spelled in pinyin? I have never actually been to Anhui province, but I've met a lot of people who are from there. I don't know. How do you spell Anhui? Please put it in the notes below. My computer is under the tripod, so this is not going to work. I'm not going to be able to look it up. So anyway, so there's little differences like that throughout the entire book, not just in the time period that she spends in Hong Kong, because she does return to Shanghai later on in the book. But that spelling difference persists the entire way through the book. And I wonder if that was... See, they never actually addressed that. They addressed the character names, because the character names are all very, very... Generally speaking, their first names are all English. And they address that in the book, but they do not address the place names being different. So if you are familiar with this work, again, Little Reunions by Eileen Chang or Chang Eileen, then please, by all means, let me know why this happened. But that's not even one of the 6 that I wrote down. That just happened to be on the same page. Number 2, we're actually going back 3 pages to page 67. Here we go. So this may not make total sense in context, but I'll explain after I read it. How's that? Okay. So Julie didn't ask Judy about the accuracy of this imagined sequence of events. Curiosity was strictly taboo in this household, which is why Judy only related the faintest outline to her. Judy called Julie's brother Julian, quote-unquote sneaky, but the English word, quote-unquote sneaky, doesn't convey the connotations of intelligence in the Chinese word. So we're focusing on the word sneaky in Chinese. Part of me wishes that this book had the Hanzi, the pinyin, and the English, so I could go look it up. I wonder if my other phone's on. It's sitting near me. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can pull meaning out of this. Is it on? Is it on? Is it on? It's not on. This could take a minute. Anyway, even if I see the definition, I'm not sure I would get that connotation from a Pleco dictionary definition that a fluent speaker of the language is. So I thought that was interesting. So if you're super skillful at the Chinese language, can you expand on that some more? Please put the time or number 2 in your comment down below and fill us in. Flesh out that sneaky in Chinese. And if you have some examples in very simple sentence form for like HSK1, HSK2 form, like a simple sentence, you can use it to show the difference between how it's used, or the connotation that she's talking about in Chinese versus how it's used in English. I'm not so sure that sneaky in English is completely rid of all intelligent connotation, but it could be a much stronger connotation in Chinese. I don't really know. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting that just happened to be in there. Again, these are not things that are highlighted by the author herself. There's things that are just plopped in there. And judging from the notes I took, it's mostly in the first 150 words because, sorry, 150 pages, because there's about 320 pages. But after page 154, she stopped talking about language, which kind of bummed me out because I thought this would be a very cool, longer video, or I could do like part 1, part 2, but I think 6 references in the book, not at all related to language that was translated from its original language. I thought it was cool that there were little snippets of her talking about language differences and language aspects within the greater story, which has nothing to do with that. So there's that. Page 86, and I'm telling you just in case you get a paper version and want to look at this yourself. I have to switch glasses. I apparently in this light need stronger reading glasses. So somehow I bought 3 pairs of red glasses. I don't know why. Here we go, page 86 at the bottom. It was hard to keep in mind that her parents were products of a transitional era. Although her mother was a modernist, Julie could never understand why it was taboo to, quote-unquote, bump into. It always had to be, quote-unquote, encountered, and so on, sorry. It always had to be, quote-unquote, encountered so-and-so in the street. The word delight, quote-unquote, delight, was also prescribed. The literary supplement in the Daily News called Forest of Delight, that's great, caused her no end of anguish. Why couldn't it have been happiness forest? She refused to say, quote-unquote, happiness because that sounded unnatural. So she just used the word, quote-unquote, happy. After Julie read the folk novel The Water Margin, she realized that, quote-unquote, delight was a sexual term. Quote-unquote, do it was without question taboo. So too, on occasion, was the word, quote-unquote, broken. And it wasn't just her mother. Judy also felt, quote-unquote, broken to be taboo and forbade any words or phrases that contained it, like heartbroken or nervous breakdown. Looking back as an adult, Judy surmised it had something to do with despoiled maidenhood. So yeah, she's really, at this point in the book, she's coming into her sensual awareness, let's say, and she's clearly linguistically picking up on some things that she hadn't picked up on before. Now, in English, is delight generally have a sexual connotation to it? I know there can be, of course, but I don't, for me, I don't only associate the word delight with that. I also think of delightful people and food situations, things that look delightful, although not really as much. It's kind of an old-fashioned term, sort of, I think. It feels like it's more of like my parents' generation term than for something that is fun and interesting and cool and happy, joyful kind of thing. It feels more like an older term. I don't know. Interesting. Again, if you have any comments on it, that is number 3. So go ahead and put either the time or number 3 down below if you have any ideas on the word delight in English or in Chinese. She doesn't say in Chinese in that one specifically, but I'm assuming since this text was written originally in Chinese that these things she's referring to these things in the Chinese language. But not always. Again, she did have a bilingual education, so I kind of wish it was more explicit in which language she was speaking of. In which language? Why am I getting all formal? I don't know. Number 4. Page 125. Julie was enthralled by the 2 pieces of Egyptian textile art Rachel brought back with her. Little orange men leading camels sewn on a base of coarse beige cloth with 3 faded blue pyramids floating in the distance like the Chinese character. And she only put the Chinese character. I think that one's actually going to show up okay, even though this this camera films in reverse, because that particular character looks the same in both directions. I don't remember that one. But I think it's interesting how she equated that image with that Chinese character. I feel like I go the opposite way because I'm learning the characters and the words, and I feel like sometimes when I see something, I think of a word or a character that isn't necessarily related to it, but it reminds me of that feeling. There was Kei, which is like subject, which I can't even remember what it looks like in the Hansa characters, but there was something I was doing last week where I saw something and I thought, this word looks like what I think Kei should look like, and my tones are all off as usual, but the word for that, the Hansa characters for Kei and HSK2 does not look like what I think it should look like, and there was something else that did, and I'm trying to use my phone now. Here it is. Now it's not going to let me show you in its full form. Okay, you're going to see it backwards here, but that's what it looks like. And I don't think it should look like that at all. I don't remember what the thing was that I saw, but I did have an instant association. Like, for some reason in my head, I heard the badly toned sound of the word, but it wasn't that word. It makes no sense. I don't think that's what she's doing here. I think she's associating more of a full image with one character. And I don't know that I'm that advanced on doing that, but I think that's very, very interesting. Let me go into Pleco and draw this thing and tell you what it means, because it looks familiar, but I cannot for the life of me remember. I feel like I've come across it, but it's not in my HSK yet. There it is. I'm going to be really embarrassed if it is. Oh, it's, let's have them say it. So they have the meaning as article or product, grade, class, or rank, official rank, character, or quality, or it could be taste something with discrimination, play. Dear God, there's a lot of definitions for this. So let's read this again. Egyptian textile art. Little orange men leading camels sewn on a base of coarse beige cloth with 3 faded blue pyramids floating in the distance like the Chinese character. So I don't even think that it's meaning that she's going with here. I feel like it's just the actual visual. So maybe she's having the same reaction that I had with Kei. I don't know. 153. I just notice things. I don't necessarily fully understand them. Do you ever feel that way? Yeah, I feel that way a lot of the time. I feel that way the majority of the time. If there was a word for that, that would be my name. Page 153. Their sophisticated, flirtatious banter differed from what Shanghaiese called, quote, eating bean curd, unquote, which carried the condescending suggestion of flirting with frivolous, dim-witted girls. See, earlier this year, or was it late last year, I learned the phrase, eating the bitterness. I don't remember it in Chinese, but I remember the meaning very much so in the translation in English. It's to basically in English, we would say like suck it up or bear down or kind of deal with the hard parts because you have to. You can't just run from everything that's hard. So eating the bitterness is pushing through the boring or uninteresting or difficult times, right? So eating bean curd carried the condescending suggestion of flirting with frivolous, dim-witted girls. Is that a good way? If you're familiar with this, eating bean curd, and again, I don't have the characters, so I can't even show you that. If you can expand on that some more, please use number, what is this? 153 is number 5. 5, that's number 5. So please use number 5 below or the time in the video and expand on that some more. Eating bean curd. It's making me hungry. Doesn't take much. Does not take much. Next page, page 154, and this is the last one. Number 6 is the last one she does in the book before she gets all super serious on her romances. Where does this one start? Oh, this one's not terribly interesting. She referred to her mother-in-law as Niang, and they don't use any tones in the pinyinisation. Anyway, Niang, producing, unless it just doesn't have one, which is possible, pronouncing it with a falling tone instead of the elegant Peking dialect rising tone, which made her sound insincere. So there is part of the problem with saying things in the wrong tone, right? Is that it can be taken as intentional blank, intentional meanness, intentional condescension, intentional rudeness, all that kinds of stuff. Yeah, so that's it. So I thought those 6 things were kind of interesting. Again, they are not by any stretch of the imagination the point of the book. It is basically an excruciating coming-of-age story set in Hong Kong and Shanghai. And I don't know if I recommend it. I'm very curious to read or listen to one or many of her other books, but this one is one that was unpublished. It was only published It was only published after her death. Before her death, she had submitted a draft, but it was not finished by the time she died. And there was a whole discussion at the book group on if it's okay to do that to an author's work if they haven't had final sign-off on it. And I don't know. It's in published form, so part of me is very on that. There's bigger questions in the book, and I do really like the characters in the book, although there are some structural and other things that I don't appreciate in it. But I'm very curious about her life and about her other books. So I think I'll be digging into some of that. And I probably should have said this at the beginning, but this is also the author that wrote the book that the movie Lust, Caution was based off of. Apparently they changed the movie quite a bit from the book, but you get a sense of the characters and of the intensity of the romances from the movie that exists in the book. So that part apparently didn't change that much. Said somebody from my book group, because it's been like on my movie to watch list for a very long time, but I haven't gotten there. So maybe I'll watch that movie and listen for any linguistic things they might say there. So yeah, I don't know, tell me what you think of this kind of video of me just pulling out language references of Chinese out of different places. I'm reading a lot nowadays. I'm not really watching a lot of movies, a lot of Chinese movies. I don't know why. I'm not watching a lot of movies, that's why. I watch more TV and I listen to a ton of podcasts in English, so that could be why. But as I'm reading stuff, when I come across it, I want to do more videos like this. I think it'd be fun to come back like a year or two from now, and who knows, maybe, well, not 2 years from now, that's probably still too soon, but at some point read the original version and see if it makes any more sense, or at least even just in those 6 passages, to read and to look at the characters themselves and see if it makes any more sense, or see if I can dig into the meanings of the things that she was talking about. Or you could help me out now. If you know any more detail behind these 6 different things, please leave some comments below. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you like this kind of video. I think just picking up on things in the wild is kind of fun. So hopefully there'll be more of these soon. 再见!